10 years ago, we launched the South-South Institute, and during that time, so many things have happened that have impacted us all. President Trump has been and gone, and now he's threatening to come back again if he's not arrested tomorrow morning. COVID has been and not gone, and it's threatening to never go away. Ebola came and went, but before it went, it made sure to push this institute back to take place now, but in a good way, actually, because now we can really celebrate 10 years, whereas if we had met last year as planned, we wouldn't quite have made the 10 years. The point I'm really trying to make is that despite forces that are far greater than any of us here, we have made it through 10 years and we're still here. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. I'm grateful because the reasons that led to establishing this South-South Institute back in 2013 are also bigger than any of us alone can handle. And that continues to be the case, despite the much that we have done, all of us, over the last 10 years, individually and together. So the motivation of setting up the South-South Institute was really about creating space in which people could speak for themselves, in which other ways of tackling the challenge of sexual violence could be put on the table and discussed and promoted. But to have activists, practitioners, survivors, duty bearers able to come together and build these critical working relationships in ways that are appropriate and fitted to the contexts and the cultures and the very different ways of organizing of those who are most impacted, the survivors themselves. If we just focus on the person that comes to the office, we're only seeing a very, very small part of a much bigger picture. And unless we see that bigger picture, even a small part, the person who's standing in front of us in the office will not get the right support that they need to fully recover. I think this South-South Institute has begun to leverage is there is now a diaspora of male survivors of conflict-related sexual violence and their families. In Sweden, in Canada, in the US, in the UK, certainly from Refugee Law Project clients who've now been resettled, but also from other areas of conflict like Sri Lanka, that we still have to connect with much more tightly. So where are we headed? What's next? Who's coming? Who is coming up to build further, and I say to build further the movement towards inclusive response and protection and reparations for victims and survivors of sexual violence, exploitation and abuse? And what are the new challenges that are emerging? That is really the purpose of this SSI, is to take stock and to think forwards. It is clearly not enough to place men and boys on the mental map of people who think they are working on sexual violence and conflict. We do need to do that, and we need to continue to push that, and we need to include sexual exploitation and abuse in post-conflict settings, but we still have many other questions to answer. I strongly applaud the Netherlands. I'm hoping that somebody from the Netherlands Embassy will join us tomorrow. Because of their support, we've been able to identify and work with several thousand survivors in the last 5 or 6 years. That is a scale that I don't think exists anywhere else globally.